Hey folks, this is Kelani. A huge point of controversy in the last two expansions has been the addition and continuation of the follower system. We had a garrison in Warlords where we recruited a whole bunch of misfits to do the dangerous work of collecting gold, resources, and eventually oil through missions which we apparently were just too busy to do ourselves. That system had more of an abilities approach. A lot of the followers were new faces or just general nobodies with the occasional familiar face, but the abilities and traits they carried was what made them important. Going into Legion, everything was trimmed down quite significantly, both in terms of how many followers we could acquire and how flexible the abilities and trait system was. We had a fixed roster of about 10 or so champions by the end of the expansion, and each of them contributed something of worth to our Order Hall campaign. These were heroes within our respective classes, and each of them had their own abilities, so a lot of the randomness was removed, but the followers and mission system remained. I'm not sure if you've heard yet, but we won't be saying goodbye to that system anytime soon. Battle for Azeroth once again brings back the follower and champion system, with a few changes as you might expect. So our party looks like it's staying small, but our champions and followers will be the same across your entire faction this time, instead of just across your class. That's probably going to speed up the whole process of adding new stuff into this follower system, but it might also feel watered down quite a bit as a result. I guess if you maintain lots of mission tables across multiple alts, at least now you won't have to learn different names, abilities, and counters. All of your characters will have the same setup. A handful of other things are changing with regards to counters as well. It looks like with the current setup, your champions will be countering one ability, while the others will have to be countered by your troops. We only have access to one troop recruitment right now, which randomly recruits a melee ranged or mounted troop for you. That might end up getting a little annoying if you don't know what troops you want, but it seems like there's been an overall effort to reduce the impact of the mission table. You should be able to ignore it fairly safely for the most part if you're not interested in the rewards you can get. Personally, I see the mission table as free loot. It takes very little time to set missions up and send them out, and you get some decent rewards for your effort. But I'm mainly interested in how champion equipment is going to work in Battle for Azeroth, because we haven't really seen anything about it yet. As you can see, some of the champions have one equipment slot while others have two. That could be intentional or just a bug. Some of my followers haven't leveled up even though they're past the required experience level, so I'm inclined to say good chunks of this probably aren't finished yet, and all the followers are maybe meant to have the same amount of slots available. Though if you look closely, the only follower who has two open equipment slots doesn't have a bonus ability. The other champions have two abilities while our expert technician only has one. The big one. Maybe we're kind of given the choice of choosing his secondary ability with an extra equipment slot, but what kind of follower equipment will end up filling those slots? During Warlords we didn't have any follower equipment at all, only item level related stuff to increase the power of our followers. A lot of their special abilities were in the random traits, which often weren't random thanks to the power of the inn. In Legion the extra bonuses were loaded into follower equipment. Increased success chance above 8 hours, decreased mission time, bonus chance versus minions, all that good stuff. So what should we expect from Battle for Azeroth? We haven't really seen any follower equipment. Until now. In one of the most recent builds, follower equipment was added to professions. Probably not what you were expecting. I was definitely surprised when I came across them. Some of these sound like they're going to be potentially quite lucrative as well, so let's have a look at what we have so far. Each of these items is listed under follower equipment in your professions menu, which should make them very easy to see. Alchemists can create a potion of herb tracking, which gives your followers a chance to bring back herbs from successful missions, so if you want to drop Herbie at some point, you might be able to just rely on your followers for your required herbs. I doubt things will get super duper crazy. I would be shocked if they brought back more than a handful of raw materials, but if you have all of your followers going with this, maybe, just maybe, you won't have to venture out into the world to pick some flowers. Blacksmiths can create a few things: a magnetic mining pick, which gives them a chance to bring back ores from successful missions, a platinum whetstone, which increases success chance by 5%, and some storm silver spurs to reduce mission duration by 20%. These numbers seem a little skewed. 5% success chance is nothing compared to 20% reduced mission time, especially if we only have one equipment slot on our followers. That 5% needs to be kicked up a notch to be worth anything, but that 20% reduction might just be worth picking up if we get more than one equipment slot when all is said and done. Enchanters can create a disenchanting rod, which gives them a chance to bring back enchanting dust from successful missions. No shards or crystals then, I guess. Engineers have a really interesting one. Makeshift Azerite detectors allow your followers to bring back Azerite, so definitely some hard choices to be made here. Then they can also make a fish finder. just in case you wanted to grab some extra fish from your missions. From Inscription, you will be able to create a Crimson Ink well, which gives your followers a chance to bring back ink from successful missions. Ink. Not herbs, but actual ink. So that cuts out the middleman there a little bit, no more milling. Dual crafters have one you might have doubted, but yep, a kaleidoscopic lens allows you to bring back gems from missions. Whether that's limited to just uncommon gems or includes rares as well, we'll have to see. If it includes rares, that might be a very nice pickup indeed. But I guess that kind of goes for all of these profession materials. If they include the rare materials, the rare inks, the rare ores, this could be crazy. Leatherworkers have a Tempest hide pouch, which allows you to retrieve skins and hides from missions, but they also have an Amber Rallying Horn, which increases success chance by 10% per troop accompanying your follower. I'd say that already blows the 5% success chance from blacksmithing out of the water, because the way missions are currently set up, you probably want quite a few troops with your champions anyway. And last but not least, we have tailoring. Give your followers a chance to bring back some extra pieces of cloth. So there's a few things I want to address with all of these pieces of equipment. The first is that they are all bind on pickup. So if you don't have the profession, you won't be able to craft these follower items and make use of their potential benefits. However, each of these items can be crafted relatively early on in the Zandalar or Kulturas profession progression. They seem to hover between requiring 50 and 75 skill of the appropriate profession, which shouldn't be too hard to acquire if these profession follower equipment pieces end up being very useful. Just in case you weren't aware, the cap is 150, so if you required 75, that's about halfway. If you need the extra gems, pick up dual crafting, level it a bit, create the item and drop it right after. There doesn't seem to be any restriction on using them after they've been created, but there is one slight problem with that plan, and it's not really related to them being on bind on pickup, but it looks like these are going to be extremely expensive to create. They all require a good amount of raw materials from the profession creating them. The tailoring ones require cloth, the leatherworking requires skins, and the dual crafting one requires a whole bunch of gems, but they also require a lot of rare materials, which includes the rare materials from your professions, but also the rare crafting materials which are new in Battle for Azeroth, Expulsum and Hydrocores. Expulsum is going to be kind of rare from what we've seen. It might mainly come from the Scrap-O-Matic, which should hopefully be okay for any crafters out there, but if you're not actively crafting gear to throw in the Scrapper, Expulsum might be hard to come by. Hydrocores come from dungeons apparently, so we'll have to see just how rare they end up being, but crafting yourself one or two of these items could end up being quite expensive. Probably not something I'm going to consider for lackluster rewards. I don't think gems, inks, or azurite really stand together with cloth, leather, or 5% success chance. Some of these are definitely going to yield better results than others, so it should be fun figuring out which ones are worth crafting and which ones aren't. Sadly, with them being bind on pickup, you won't be able to craft and sell them for a tasty profit, no matter how valuable they end up being. So this one really is going to be a personal voyage. But just imagine how this could end up with all of your followers rocking equipment to bring back gems, or inks, or azurite, or herbs. It's a mini farming operation, and all you have to do is send out your missions every now and then. Hopefully the equipment slots open up a bit so we can fit some profession items in with some mission reduction, or just more profession items. Bring me back inks and some herbs, champion, and I shall reward you with even more missions of glory. We're starting to sound a little like Khadgar now. It's really interesting to see how this might change how we approach the mission tables though. We would pretty much only care about the mission time and hitting 100% success rate, depending on the mission. If the missions are really valuable, the profession items would just be a nice bonus. But if the mission rewards aren't all that great, they become the extra bonus and we would mainly care about the profession items. It reminds me a lot of how Warlords of Draenor worked with the garrison. We had our own little spot to gather up ores and herbs and even fish if you set it all up properly. Maybe this is an attempt to recreate the feeling of having a personal source of those materials while expanding the potential to include things like ink and azurite without making it as ridiculous as the farms we've had previously. They sort of destroyed the prices of raw materials, but if we only have a chance to get a handful of materials from sending out missions, it might end up working out better. Overall, it just gives us more choice and more control over what we want to get from the mission table's next expansion. I'm really happy that they added in this little spin. It adds a little more value to professions and changes up how the equipment system is going to work going into Battle for Azeroth. If we just just had Legion Mission Tables 2.0, I think the players would be more likely to push back against the system as a whole. But if there's a few changes to get us interested, then we might not notice just how much copy-pasting they did. But that's it for this video. What do you think about these pieces of follower equipment? Do you think having them come from professions is a good or a bad thing? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to hop on that train, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.